get us going here, and then I'm going to go first with the realtor side of things. So for those of you who didn't know, this was supposed to be a seminar. This was supposed to be in person. We do this every year, like an annual seminar where we usually get about 20, 30 people. Hopefully, Peter Breck or Brock was actually going to bring us food at Bertucci's in Columbia, and we were going to put on this whole seminar. Well, the corona came and knocked those plans right to the dust. So we decided, why don't we go ahead and do a webinar? This is actually a way better idea, I think, even in the long run, right? So this is kind of a spin-off of that. Now, here are some of the benefits I think that will come from this. Normally, our seminar can take an hour, sometimes, depending on the questions, an hour and a half. This, we're going to try to do this in like 30 minutes, right? Like the meat and potatoes, no running off. Like, this is what you need to know. And then we can always do little follow-up videos that if you wanted to know more about lending or more about the home inspection or more about title, we can do a little spin-off, a little 5-minute diving deeper into that. So today is really the Reader Digest version, how to hit a home run in the home buying process. So in the end, for those of you watching this, you're going to sound like a pro when you explain this to your friends, right? They're probably going to wonder if you got your real estate license, because you'll know enough about lending, you'll know enough about a realtor, you'll know enough about the process, you'll know the home inspection, you'll know what title does. Most people don't even know that title's involved. They're so behind the scenes. They don't even know there is a title company. So, but there are, and they're amazing. And honestly, without them, you couldn't close a deal. So they're very essential. With that said, make sure, let's utilize that chat box. I want everyone to utilize the chat box if you can. It just keeps the communication lines open. We're not talking over each other and that type of thing. So if you have a question, just go ahead and put it in there at any time. There is no dumb question whatsoever. We'll get it answered. Okay, that's kind of the housekeeping stuff. Now let's dive into the reality of it all. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to give you kind of the whole process in a nutshell, really from my perspective. And then you'll see how these guys each plug in very specifically into the home buying process. You'll see that without them, it just can't happen. They have their very specific roles that they are experts at. So my goal is to give you the broad perspective and kind of where I fit in, and then we'll pass the baton to each of them to really take us home. So quick, my name is Jonah Taylor. I have a team called the Smart Move Group of Keller Williams. And we operate, our office is in Columbia, but we're very much at Central Maryland, you know, anywhere that's kind of the benefit of the team. So I'm going to share my screen here real quick. And 1 second. Can you guys all see this diagram?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Is it clear, or is it a little bit?
It's clear.
Okay, cool, perfect. So let's just dive right in. What I'm going to do here is give me a little spotlight. There we go. You can kind of see now what I'm pointing at. So this process really begins the moment that you say in your mind, I think sometime down the road I want to buy a house. If you're thinking, I don't ever want to own, I love my rental, I don't even know honestly why you would be in this webinar, I guess, but this process begins the moment you say, I want to buy a house, even if it's 5 years down the road. You begin right here, right now. So of course, we being the Smart Move Group want you to use us. That would be the ideal, is that you meet with your Smart Move Group agent. Now, if you have an agent, and you go, I really like them, they're great, then you would meet with them first. But the first step is to go and meet with your agent. And why do you think that is? This is rhetorical, but it's because if they're going to walk you through the entire process, then you need them from the very beginning. You want to at least reach out to them and touch base with them from the very first moment to make this whole process simple. And they're going to introduce you to the right people and to the next step, so you're not fumbling through this thing. So ideally, you reach out to me. That's your first step. Now, the very next step is Maryland law requires that there be an agreement. right? I can't close a home and someone can't buy a home without an agreement between that realtor, that relationship. Now, you don't have to get this right away. The reason why I put this and we put this up front is actually for a very simple reason. I want to make sure that people want to work with us. There are plenty of times where in the past we've just worked with anybody, and then I come to find out they're working with 2 other agents, and man, we just spun our wheels for like 60 days and went nowhere. So it basically says, this buyer agreement says, you at the buyer, you want to work with us, and we want to work with you. And if we're going to give you all that time and attention, I just want that loyalty back, right? So that's what that is, and that's why we do that first. So then your next step is right here. And luckily we got the man for this right here, Peter Brock. So this is the very next step. You're going to talk with your lending expert. In this case, Peter Brock from Apex Home Loan. I'm not going to go too deep into this because he's literally going to go deep into this for me. But just following the timeline, meet with your realtor, meet with your lender. And the reason why you want to do that right up front is they're the ones that give you all the knowledge. They're the ones that are going to tell you what you can afford, what types of houses you can see, how are you going to do this, where are you going to go next. Without it, you're just fumbling around sometimes. So that's that. The very next step is you're going to sit down with me again. And now we're going to go over your wants and your needs. We call this a needs analysis. And this is actually a very important step because in this step, we find out, do you want townhomes or are you only single family? Do you want a condo, no maintenance? How much home now can you afford? What should we be looking at, right? If you want a home that's 500,000, but you're only approved up to 350. Well, then this we need to know that, so that way we're not spinning our wheels on things that we can't really afford or really even want. So we're going to sit down and go over everything: bedrooms, bathrooms, acreage, location, you name it, schools. Are they important? We're going to go through all of that. And we're going to nail down what is the best home for you. After that, we can go start looking at properties. And this is kind of the fun part. I think right here is when most people are at their highest, they're having a lot of fun because this is where you're looking at homes, you're checking out what's available, what can my budget get me, what can I buy, and it's just a fun, exciting time. Now, right now, that's a little tough because I actually have to go to the house for you. And we can't even be there at the same time, but we can still work this. What I've been doing is I actually open the door, turn the lights on, idle, go to my car, and the people can actually go in and see the house. So we're working around it. There's still ways. Okay, so you've met with me, you've met with Peter, you've gotten your lending analyzed, or we got all our needs analyzed. We've seen some properties. Boom, you found the one. Okay, so we're halfway through now. You found the house. Now this is where we get down into more of the details. This is where Christopher Case is going to step in. This is where Chris Breck is going to make his appearance. And what you're going to realize, title and home inspection, those two. These are the elements of your offer: purchase price, close date, what types of inspections, what title company do you want to use? And we're going to go over all the key elements of your offer. I'm then going to prepare that offer in a contract, and I am going to go basically to bat for you now. I go to the other agent, to the other homeowner, and say, this is what we're thinking, this is what we need, this is what we want, based on what you've told me, right? And at that point, I'm going to do my best. I'm going to go to war and try to get you those things. I can't always do it. Sometimes it just doesn't work. If you need a bunch of seller help and they can't give it, there's nothing else I can do. But my job at this point is to go to bat for you and try to get you what you need. Now, I can say they say yes to our agreement and what we have stipulated in our contract. Now we come up to Christopher Case and home inspection and some of the other deadlines. There are many deadlines in a contract, right? You have your loan approval, your loan commitment, you have your home inspection deadlines, you have your appraisal, you have all these other things. And you as the buyer don't need to know that as much as I do. I'm going to make sure that you're on track, you're on time, you're getting what you need by that date. And I will let you know when we're coming up on the end of that. But Christopher Case will go a little bit deeper into some of this right here, and even this part right here, where if there are repairs that need to be made, we can negotiate that again. So that's Christopher Case's territory a little bit right there, and I'll let him, with the home inspection, go deeper into that. Next step, appraisal is going to be received. The bank is never going to give you more money than what the house is worth. So we need to make sure that the home comes in at value. And so that's an important piece. Plus, as a buyer, you don't want to pay way too much for a house. You want to make sure you're getting the value. So with that being said, the appraisal is really important to make sure that the value's there. Exciting day. We're getting to the point where we're almost at settlement, in which you're going to sit at a table with a closing rep from the title company, and you're going to sign a bunch of docs basically saying this house is now officially yours. Before that, we are going to do a walkthrough a day before and just more or less make sure the house didn't burn down, didn't have a huge flood, anything. Just make sure the house looks like it did when you first put the contract in. At this point, we're almost done. You're going to arrange for insurance on your new home. After that, moving day. Get your stuff ready. Then the title company on your behalf will go out and fund and record the deed. Once again, this is all stuff behind the scenes. You don't really see title do their work a whole lot, but they're working for you. And at that point, you've bought your home. So you guys, that's the whole process right there. I mean, I literally just went through it in 5 minutes, basically, the entire home buying process. And if you want, I can even share this PDF with you. Just put it in the chat box, hey, I'd love to get that PDF, or share that with me or whatever, and I'll make sure you get it. But we just went through the whole process, the cosmic view. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have lending and Christopher Case from our home inspection and the title company dive a little deeper into some of these other details. So let me go here. Stop share. Okay. Any questions so far? Let's see. I don't see any questions. Okay, so then we're just going to keep rocking and rolling. So Peter Breck, my main man, or sorry, Peter Brock. Brock and Breck on the same call.
There's Brock's, Brecks, there's Chris's, there's way too much of all this.
You guys are so confusing to me. Yeah, come on. No, but I really appreciate you, Peter, jumping on with us today and being able to take us through the whole lending process. So with that being said, I'm just going to pass the baton on to you, man, and just take us away. What do we need to know about lending, man?
Let me go ahead and share this with you guys.
Yeah.
This is essentially what I'm going to walk you through is the process, a little bit about what we get into, kind of where our expertise comes into play, and how we navigate these waters for you. Okay. I'm going to give you a quick slide here. This is a fun one. It is the mortgage process. Okay. You make an application, we get all your details, we put numbers together, we discuss those numbers, make sure you're at your comfort points, and then you've applied. You applied for a mortgage, you're essentially pre-approved, and that's when you and Jonah go and find your house. Once you're under contract, your application is then official, and we disclose that loan. So we send you documents to e-sign. You're going to e-sign everything, send it back to us. There's always a few you have to hand sign. And then we collect some updated documents. Those documents go to your processor, and they'll submit that loan to underwriting. Underwriting is the fun part where that person has to make a credit decision and determine that we will lend to you to buy this home. We'll extend financing. And there's always some conditions with that. At the time of contract, we cannot collect everything that's required to clear you for closing. It's just not possible. Some things aren't ready yet. So underwriting says, here are the conditions that we'll need, and we'll collect those conditions from you. It usually takes a couple days, and it can take a couple weeks. Sometimes things just aren't ready. Sometimes there are delays on the seller side. There's always something going on in the background. Once we have all those items, we'll submit it back to underwriting, and we get what's called a clear to close, which is kind of the magic phrase in real estate. It means that we're ready to go to closing and everything's all done. Then we go to the closing, to the settlement, and you're a homeowner at that point. That's really your mortgage in a nutshell. It usually takes about 30 days. It can go faster. It can go long. It can take longer. But most people are comfortable in a 30-day mortgage process. And so that's typically what you should expect from a time standpoint. Deviating from the process, because what the big topic is, especially today, is your interest rates. This is a chart of what I track for interest rates. These are your mortgage-backed securities. They're bonds. And this is the mortgage-backed securities market. And you'll notice that the start of this is in December. Okay, and so all these red bars are bond prices doing worse, and the green bars are bond prices doing better. When the prices do better, it means your interest rate is doing better. Okay, so as you go up, you see this scale's going up. Interest rates are going really well, doing really well. And then we hit March 9th, right around coronavirus world time. We get a big dip in the market, okay? And this presentation was put together back when we were supposed to do our original seminar in person. So the dates cut off there. And what I did is I went in, and to show you the volatility, that's a big word in the financial markets, to show you the true volatility here, I'll show you in a second. This is a steady increase, little ups and downs, not much. Okay, everybody kind of can get a general sense of where the market's going at this time. Well, I'm going to show you this next slide, which starts us on March 9th. It shows you where we are today. And this is what the market has looked like instead.
Oh, wow.
So we've had massive fluctuations every single day, every couple days, huge jumps. These equate to about 0.5% to 0.75% different in your interest rate, which is a huge number. So while you may have gotten pre-approved on March 9th and maybe been at 3.5%, by the time we get around to, say March 30th, you might not be there at all. You could be at 4.5%. Wow. Yeah. And this is what we've been dealing with day to day for the past couple weeks, and there's no sign of it stopping right now. If you're in the housing market right now, you should expect your interest rate to be at a very volatile standpoint. Where will it be? It's just too hard to tell. So this is what we've been dealing with from a lending perspective. We've had some people float their rate and not lock in right away. Some people that's worked very well for, and some people are riding it out and hoping a little bit right now really strongly. And so this is what interest rates do. But generally speaking, for the past time, we've been in the low to mid threes and maybe sometimes high threes here and there. But as we got closer to these past couple weeks, we've been drifting into the fours. I've seen the high fours. And then I caught somebody one day out of all of this, right around this date here, this big green bar. This down here, this line, this is the lowest the prices were, the bond prices were for that day. I caught somebody in here and got him 3.25. The very next day, we had shot all the way back up here. We're back to 4.25.
Wow.
It's just been crazy. So interest rates are a hot topic right now, and they're almost impossible to pinpoint. It's just something – what I like to tell people nowadays is don't buy the house for a low interest rate. Buy the house because you love it and you want to live in it. You'll refinance out of a bad interest rate anytime. So don't worry about it. Just buy the house because you love it and it's the home for you. But that's your interest rate market from a back end standpoint. People always ask me next what kind of loan products we have, what kind of loan programs there are. And there's a very long list here of loan products, okay? I would never go into all this with everybody, and some of it doesn't mean anything to everybody. But the point is, what we do is when we do this initial application, we talk to you, we find out what's your comfort standpoint, what are your parameters? How much do you want to pay in a mortgage payment every month? How much are you comfortable spending at closing? Those two questions, the answers to them, will box you into probably one or two of all this list. And we know right away, okay, let's weed out the rest of this. This is what we're going to go with, most likely. And then you lock that financing in once you get under contract. Products are products. There's tons of them. Focus on what your comfort levels are, and that will drive where your financing should be. But when the question comes up, what kind of programs do you have? Just know there are dozens of them. It's a matter of where do I best fit into these products. Thinking about that takes you again, this is my last slide here, really. Your two most important decisions, okay? How much do I want to spend at closing? People always say to me, well, I have $25,000 to put down. Don't worry about down payment. Think about all-in cash to close because your down payment is just the equity you're establishing. Right. You also have closing costs. Those closing costs are fees that your title company has to be paid, the lender has to be paid, the government has to be paid. So you combine those to get a total cash to close. If you think about what you want to spend each month on your monthly payment and how much you're comfortable spending at settlement, you will box yourself into a loan program. We'll understand where your interest rate's going to end up. You'll get through your process much smoother, and then you'll have keys to home ownership. And that's really lending in a nutshell. So anything more specific, I'd be happy to entertain for anybody in the audience or who watches the recording. But generally, that's how your mortgage is going to go. And I'd pass the baton with that.
Yeah, no, that was perfect. I love it. You kind of hit on, I believe, really the nuts and bolts of it all. And really, the question I guess I wanted to ask right now is with the corona and everything going on, are you still fully functional?
We are fully functional. The mortgage industry is progressively getting more digital by the day. And our company at Apex, we have a highly digital process. Most of what I do is digital anyway. I can have you link your bank accounts right to our application so we don't have to get bank statements from you. We can upload your pay stubs sometimes directly from your employer. All of this video stuff I do, I can break down numbers through video. So we're all still
Yeah.
fully functional. Appraisers, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac have been giving leniency to appraisals. The appraisers do not have to actually go to the property right now. They can do
Wow.
desk reviews and drive-bys because they just know it's just not a safe time. I think
Yeah.
the bigger issue is the home inspectors, and Chris can testify to that and figure out kind of where that's going. That's the harder water to
Yeah.
navigate. But
Yeah.
otherwise, yeah, no, we're still fully functional and we're rocking and rolling here.
That's perfect. Yeah, and I think what we'll do is I have a couple of questions. Maybe we'll do a little follow-up video, you and I, and we can share that all the same and kind of dive a little deeper
Sure.
into lending, just for time's sake and everybody else's sake. So,
Absolutely.
Peter, dude, thank you so much, man. That was awesome.
Happy to be here.
All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to Mr. Christopher Case. In case if you want to pull your slides up, and the home inspection. So now you've heard from me and my role, and you've heard from lending and their role. And these two, you're going to meet with me and him pretty quickly, right? Pretty early in the process. At this point, we're about halfway through the process when you're going to get to Christopher Case in this home inspection. You are now under contract on a home that you love, but you want to know what you're getting. Enter Christopher Case.
Thank you, Jonah. I appreciate that. And Peter, thank you very much for, that overview. There's a lot of nuts and bolts that go on with everybody behind the scenes. And you guys work your tails off. I know that much. And you don't really get in front of people too much to see that. But thank you very much for having me. Yeah. So just a quick overview. I have some slides as well here about the home inspection process. We'll just go over a brief overview, and we can always discuss deeper into the nuts and bolts and any questions we can answer on that later webinar.
Yeah.
But basically, again, the home inspection process is a basic general overview, or I'm trying to get my slide working here. Is it changing on your side?
I have the "We're here to serve" still. I don't see the next one. If you maybe just got to click on it. There you go.
Did that work? Well,
Yeah.
Hang on. I apologize. I'm having a little bit of, not sure what's going on here. Here we go. Let me try this. All right, am I back up?
Yep, I have importance of a home inspection.
All right, let's see if we can get this one working again. All right. Here we go. And no, we cannot. All right. I'll just click through them. Unfortunately, for some reason, I'm having technical difficulties that weren't happening before.
That's all right.
But basically, overview here, the importance of a home inspection. Basically, a non-biased, generalized view of your home and its contents. I come in there. I am not emotionally tied to the house like these buyers are. When you're going out looking for a house, you're excited. This is a new step in your life. And there's things that when you go in, you see this is the most beautiful house you've ever seen, but there's things that you can miss. And that's okay. That's not your job. That's why we're here to help you out as part of the team. You have your lender and your title and your agent, and we're part of that team as well to help you through this whole process. So home inspection is also a financial protection of your investment, and allows you to make those educated decisions you need with your agent when you're purchasing that home. If we find some things, these are things like Jonah was saying, you can negotiate after the inspections. You can negotiate whether it's repairs or change in price or whatever it might need to be, depending on what's found. There's areas of a house that we go in that you just do not, such as attics and crawl spaces. We go into the main electrical panels and we check all of your HVAC equipment and plumbing. You're not going to go with Jonah up on the roof. I can promise you that.
Nope.
He does not take a ladder to help you get up there.
No.
And I can promise you he doesn't go into a crawl space.
Not likely.
Unless I make him follow me down. But
Right.
no, that is our job. And that's what, that's what we have trained to do and we've studied to do. And we're used to going in there and finding out any issues. So that's why we're there for you. Some of the other things that we test as well, we're going to jump down here. We can test for environmental things such as radon and figure out, what area are you in? Do we need to do a radon test? Radon is also part of a home inspection sometimes, depending on where you're buying. You want to make sure that quality of air you're breathing and the house that you're in is safe as well. So those are some things that we can test for. We have that equipment, we have the certifications and the training to do that as well. Another thing that we can do as well is we test for mold. You know, when we go in there, we always look for mold in a generalized home inspection. But if we find something, we're able to, because we're certified and trained, we're able to assess how important is this issue? Is it something we need to truly test and send to a lab? Or
Right.
is this just something small in the bathtub that the previous owners they don't wipe the bathtub down?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so what is the underlying issue of the mold, and what type of treatment or steps do we need to take to remediate that?
That's a big one. Yeah.
You know, here's a picture we talked about, you know, with crawl spaces. You know, you're not going to go in there, so we do that for you. And you know,
Hey,
we have
Case,
areas where
your
we
slides
find
aren't
things that,
advancing.
what's that?
Your slide, we're still on the attics, crawl spaces, and main electrical panel. It's not a big deal, but I'm just letting you know.
Oh,
It never jumped to the other ones.
oh no.
But that's all right. We still got your audio,
Oh my goodness.
unless you think you can fix it quick.
Yeah, let me try. Where are you at now?
No, same one.
Oh, wonderful.
Hold on, it's thinking, but that's okay. I mean, you can keep on going. I think as long as we're still sharing the info.
Well, again, I'm a home inspector. I am not a digital tech guy, so this is proof to show that maybe I need to hire a administrator, you know, an admin assistant. So,
Yeah,
well, it looks like I've lost my mold picture for the crawl space, but basically, I'll advance down to my next one and just read along for myself and for my
There
own
you go.
enjoyment here. Some of the other things we do too, as well as, you know, your other environmental inspections, again, depending on where you're at, you can have well and septic. You know, these are important inspections because they're a huge part of your house. We partner with companies such as Homeland Environmental to make sure that we can give you the most beneficial inspections here that we can give you all that you need. I just lost my screen. Now I'm back up. Pest control as well. Termite inspection. You're going to need a termite inspection. You know, these are things that you want to make sure that the foundation's good, that you don't have a problem with that. We partner with companies and we can line that up for you as well as chimney inspections. And depending on the age of the house, we find this information out, obviously, when Jonah would send over the property info. You're going to want to test for lead potentially. And again, this one's just generalized off the age of the house. So not every inspection needs one of these. But those are some of the other things that we can help line up, and we, you know, can bundle all that to save you from having to make a ton of calls. If the agents don't have to make a ton of calls, we can get all that lined up for you and taken care of. And the last thing that we do as well, it's called Recall Check. And basically, this is a really neat software program that as we go through our home inspection, we take a picture of every single nameplate on all the major appliances, your HVAC, your plumbing, your kitchen appliances. Once we have all that info, we send that off to Recall Check, and in less than 12 hours, we get an email back from them with a report letting us know if there's something wrong with any of those appliances, so that you can take that into consideration when you're purchasing a house. And if it's a washing machine and there's something small with it and that's not a big deal to you, that may not be a deal breaker. But we've had before where they've come back where the HVAC system has had a recall and the outside units have to have a full coil replacement. That's an expensive process if you go into a house not knowing and all of a sudden your system stops and you have to have that done. This is another protection plan, and it's really great, you know, for the homeowner. So that's kind of the things that we do. You know, we always work closely with our agents. We typically don't get to see the wonderful people behind the scenes, like, you know, the lender and title. But it's all part of a big group effort to help bring you guys into the home ownership process with the most knowledge that you can have and give you guys the best buying experience.
No, that's perfect. And I think you really hit the nail on the head with everything there. For the most part, I love what you said. It's kind of a financial protection. You know, it kind of protects everything that you're purchasing. So, and once again, with you, we can also do a follow-up, you know, and just do a short one-on-one, more detail on some of this stuff as well.
Sure.
So then moving right along, Chris Breck, our behind the scenes kind of wonderful title, company closer, everything we need from title, man. Just fill us in, take us home.
Well, I like what you just said about, you're talking about protection, and that's one of the major things we do. One of the behind the scene things title does is something known as title insurance. So the number one thing we do is ensure that the person you're buying the house from owns the house and doesn't owe anybody any money. But the front of the scenes is more about let's see if this works. It's about our relationship with the lender and realtor. You guys can see this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we're in a process where we're communicating with them constantly to put together your settlement. We have another duty, it's known as escrow. So we are in charge of determining what all those closing costs are going to be. We're getting numbers from Jonah, giving them to Peter. They're getting numbers from us. Everything's going back and forth. So the three of us really, really need to work together to make a deal go smooth. And that's what our little team is about here. The title process itself starts with a title search. So we're going to go back 60 years in the land records and just make sure everybody that owned that property transferred the deed correctly to the next person. If anybody died, the estate was executed correctly, and every mortgage that was taken out was paid off. We're going to put all of that into a title report, or also known as a title commitment. We're going to give this to the buyer and to the lender and say, okay, it's okay to move forward with this property. We're committed to issuing title insurance upon transfer of this property. Now, typically, next step is title clearing. There's usually a few little things we need to button up to make it work. I'll give you an example. We're doing a deal right now where somebody refinanced back in 2003 and sold the house 2015. The 2003 mortgage that's on land records wasn't released. And it's not a huge deal. We just have to contact the old bank, get the paperwork, file it, and get it done. It's one of those things that takes, maybe 20 days, but it's our job to find that stuff out way in advance of settlement and not the week of. So that's what we do here. The next thing we do is escrow prep. We kind of talked about this. All the money is coming our way. We're going to hold the buyer's money. We're going to hold the bank's money. We're going to hold the money that needs to go to the state for property transfer taxes, to the insurance company, all that. All that's coming our way. So it's our job to get those numbers together, to give them to Peter so he can give them to you. What's it, Peter? 5 days before settlement? 3 days? I forget.
3
days. Make sure that you know how much money you need to bring in, and it's our job to help put that money together. Now, closing, this is probably the biggest in front of the scenes, I guess you could say, job that we have. Our job is to walk you through that stack of paperwork that enables you to buy this house. Right. So things have changed recently with the coronavirus. We're actually moving into more of a digital age where right now you can sign most of the documents ahead of time in a digital environment, and then we're getting together just to sign a few things that need to get recorded with what we call wet ink. But hopefully, next couple months, people buy a house, they will be doing nothing but signing digitally from the comfort of your home, right from the home inspection, whatever we got to do. This coronavirus is bad, but it's actually making our industry much more efficient, which is a good thing. Once we get everything signed, we're going to take that new deed that's making you the owner and record it in the land records. We're going to get the releases from the mortgages that are on title and record those so that when anybody looks into the land records, they see that this is your property, free and clear, or this is your property. You get a loan from Peter's bank. That's the new chain of title, we call it.
Yep.
Then after that, you're going to get a title insurance policy. It takes about, maybe 30 days after settlement, basically certifying that, okay, everything's done, everything's good. This is your house. You're ready to rock.
Perfect.
Now, these are things we can go into a little more detail possibly in another video.
Yeah.
There's lots of ways that you can save money with title. There's something called a reissue rate, which we can get into. There's a variety of tax credits that are out there for all different types of people that we can help you find. And there's property tax credits as well. So there's taxes you pay when you buy a house, and there's taxes you pay when you live in the house. We can
Perfect.
find ways to help you reduce money on all that. There's a bunch of decisions that you need to make during the title process. There's tenancy. Tenancy is basically how you hold title or how you're seen on the deed. It's different from an investor to a unmarried couple to a married couple, and we'll walk you through how to pick the right tenancy. A survey is another option you can have. You have case doing a home inspection. Do you need a land inspection? Basically, a survey is a land inspection. If that's something you want, we can walk you through that. Title insurance, it is optional. 95% of people get it, but we'll walk you through what it covers and what it doesn't cover. There's also a lot of scams out there, unfortunately, and they really do target first-time home buyers. There's something known as wire fraud, where they more or less trick you into sending the money to them and not to the title company. And we can show you how to avoid that. There's a scam out there where people try to just nickel and dime you to send you copies of your deeds and all kinds of stuff that happens after settlement. We'll show you what to be aware of and how to look out for that. And there's false bank emails that go out that look like, they say like, oh, we're setting up your account. We want to do something. Just please give us some information. We'll give you the heads up on what to look out for there. And I don't want to scare you. Like, these things aren't
Right.
it's not, they're few and far between. And if you work with the right team, we're going to help you get all
Navigate all that.
Navigate all that. Now I'm going to try. How do I pass my screen back to you, Jonah? I'm trying to.
Oh, I could just here.
Take it.
I can undo it. There you go.
There we go.
So yeah, then if I share my screen real quick once again, you can see back here. So we just covered it. Peter Brock right here, taking care of a lot of that. And it's not that he's only right here, playing in all these other ones as well. But then you got Christopher Case right here, and in the negotiating repairs. And then really, you got title working behind the scenes, through the rest of this, the whole second half of it. And then as your realtor, we're just present basically the entire time. We start here and we're not done until we're over here. And even then, honestly, we're not done, because at that point, we just now continue to make sure that you don't have any issues down the road. If you need help with anything else, we're still always there. So we try to make sure that we're always present no matter what. So I hope that was helpful for any of you. We're recording this, so we'll also be able to kind of share this with any others, and we'll do some follow-up videos too, maybe diving a little deeper into each one of these: lending, home inspection, and title, so we can just share that. And maybe if somebody has a question for lending, but they don't necessarily need to know about the realtor, or they don't need to know about home inspection, they got it. Or maybe they need to know more about title and home inspection, but they don't need to know about us. Then you can go through those as well. So Peter Brock, appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
So glad to be here, man. Thanks so much. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah. So I love it. It's easy, right? It's easier. Right. Case, my man, thank you so much for jumping on with us, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate you having me. It's great to be part of this team.
Awesome. And then Breck, thank you for bringing us home and knocking it out of the park.
Good crew, man. Love working with you guys, and look forward to helping all these first-time home buyers in the future.
That's right. All right, gentlemen, take care. Have a good one, and we'll be in touch.
All right.
See y'all.
See ya.
Yeah.